In this video, our SAP Analytics Cloud product experts will demonstrate the main features of our new release. Feel free to jump straight to the features you're interested in by using the timestamps in the description below. Let's dive in and hear from our SAP Analytics Cloud product experts.
Hello, I'm Adrian Westmoreland from SAP Analytics Cloud Product Management, and I'd like to briefly show you a new feature for external hyperlinks and the creation of trusted domains. In SAP Analytics Cloud, content can contain links to external systems. I can now enable a warning when navigating using a link to an external system and also create a list of trusted domains that are exempt from this warning. Within my Analytics Cloud story, I have a link, and when I click on the link, I now have a warning that I'm leaving SAP Analytics Cloud and I'm about to navigate to a link that is not yet trusted by my organization. If I choose to, I can then open that link or I can cancel. Within the system administration external systems, I can configure enabling the external link validation, and I can also configure adding trusted domains to my system so that now when I navigate to a story with a link, I will now be able to follow the link without a warning as it is a trusted domain. Thank you.
Just Ask is the new natural language query feature. Its aim is to enable casual analytics users, story consumers, to get answers on their own. It supports acquired SAP Analytics Cloud data models and SAP DataSphere models. We'll start by acquired models. Questions can be asked from the top menu or the home screen. We can start asking, what is the total contract value today? This question illustrates the understanding of time phrases. Today generates a query filter on today's date. We could ask for other time periods, for instance, last month or last year. The question also features synonyms. Total contract value is actually not part of the data model. It's a synonym for order value, which is the measure in the data model. For acquired data model, Just Ask enables to create specific synonyms to enhance the understanding of business language. Just Ask also automatically infers words with similar meanings based on word embeddings. Just Ask also supports synonyms for dimension members. When we ask, how many units were sold in LATAM? LATAM is a synonym of South America. Suggestions is a key feature of Just Ask to help users express their questions. Type-ahead suggestions are available immediately when typing. User can select a suggestion from the drop-down or use autocomplete by hitting the right arrow key, for instance, to ask what is the impact of client visits on travel expenses. On the right-hand side, there's also suggested questions that are based on the previous question. Notice that the scatter plot displays a data point per sales agent, even though there is no mention of sales agent in the question. This is thanks to a rule. We'll see that in a minute. Let's go to the management side of Just Ask. Only users with the Just Ask managed permission have access to this area. Its main function is to add acquired data models to Just Ask. Adding a data model creates an index and makes it available for query. In this first release, indexing is supported only for acquired data models. Once a model has been indexed, we can go ahead and define synonyms and rules. First, we see the dimensions and the measures of the model and the synonyms that have already been defined. For order value, we see the synonym we used, total contract value. For sales agent, various synonyms are also defined, like sales rep or sales exec. We can also check synonyms for dimension members. We used LATAM. If we scroll down, we see it's defined as a synonym for South America. Let's check the rules. The rule conditions are based on the question asked. In this rule, if the question includes client visits and travel expenses, then the action is to add the sales agent dimension. This is what happened with our question. What is the impact of client visits on travel expenses? Let's have a look at the workflow for querying SAP DataSphere. In this release with DataSphere, there is no indexing. The user needs to select a model from a space he's a member of. Here, we select Customer Churn Analytic Model. When selected, depending on the model, we can be prompted to set variables. We see that this model is selected. We'll be querying only this model, and this model will remain available in Just Ask for the duration of our SAP Analytics Cloud session. We ask lowest 5 credit score by surname. And we see that a rank has been generated.
Hi, my name is Thierry Brunet. I am product manager, and today I present you a new feature of predictive planning that will be available in Q1. The goal of this feature is this one. As a planning user, I want to see how each single component contributed to the predictive forecast so that I can trust the prediction, get additional insight, and know for each prediction point in the future which component of the signal have impacted the predictions. To demo this feature, I use a London bag data that measures how many bags are hired per day. I have 5 years of historical data until September 2023, and I want to estimate how much bike will be hired for the next 11 days. I have already built a predictive scenario, and the predictive model looks like this. The light blue curve represents the actual value. The blue curve represents the forecast, and the dotted blue curves are the maximum and minimum errors. In the Explanation tab, we see the breakdown of the time series. The red line shows that a trend was detected, and the orange curve shows that there is at least one cycle. The chart below shows the impact of this component. In fact, 2 cycles were detected, a yearly cycle and a weekly cycle. The next chart shows the impact of each cycle. The yearly cycle has a positive impact on spring and summer on the number of hired bikes, while the weekly cycle influences positively the number of bikes hired more in the middle of the week rather than the weekends. But this information is global to all the prediction. What I want to know is how each of the 11 predictions are influenced. This waterfall chart shows how the component influence the prediction for a specific day, here September 25th. The waterfall chart is made of a total bar that represents the predicted value. The value of the total bar is the sum of the values of all other bars. These bars are ordered by decreasing absolute impact. At this date, it was raining, and we see that the rain has a negative impact on our target. The global explanations are consistent with the local explanation. We've seen the weekly cycle has a negative impact on weekend and beginning of weeks. It is what we see here because September 25th was a Saturday. On October 4th, which was a Wednesday, it was not raining this day. Thus, the impact of rain is positive. Because it is in the middle of the week, The weekly cycle has a positive impact on the number of bikes hired. This concludes this video. Thank you for your attention. Hi, my name is Thierry Brunet. I'm product manager, and today I present you a new feature of predictive planning that will be available in Q1. The goal of this feature is to give the possibility to a planning user to train and apply independently a predictive model from a story so that he can perform a what-if simulation. The idea is to compare the predictive forecast proposed by the predictive models and what this predictive forecast becomes when the planner changes some parameters. Let's see that in a short demo. This story shows the number of bags hired. The objective is to estimate what this number will be in the future. Now, under the train action, I have associated a multi-action. What is new compared to the original multi-action to build a predictive model is that this time there is only a train action to build the predictive model. Now train the predictive model. After a while, the model is trained. With the setting we have, here are the predictions for the number of bags for the next 11 days. You see that the predictions are not still in the story. Now I want to apply this predictive forecast. Under the Apply button there is a multi-action that this time does only the apply part. I have created a version that will receive the predictive forecast, and it is this version I mentioned in the multi-action. Now run the apply. After a while, the predictive forecasts are written in my story. Now you see that I have inserted in my story the amount of rain. Why? The information I have for every day is not only the number of hiring bikes. There are also other inputs such as the temperature, if there was a special event this day, and if it has rained or not and how much. The predictive model has detected in my historical data a trend, a cycle, but also that the quantity of rain has an influence on the number of bikes hired. So, what will happen to the predictive forecast if the prediction of the rain for the next 11 days changes? This is what we are doing right now. Here I have the estimation of the rain. If I change them, how the revenue will be impacted. Now I apply again the predictive model, but this time on the version I created for the new values of for rain. After a few seconds, I get new estimation of the number of hiring bike, and I can compare them with the original estimation and take appropriate decision for my business. This concludes this demonstration. Thanks for watching.
As part of the QRC1 release, we have released a number of features as part of for story design. One of the feature that we have released is applying the contextual filters while passing while setting the hyperlink, and this is specifically for internal hyperlink, wherein users can pass a story page, local filter, linked analysis filter, etc., which can be linked or which can be passed on to a link which is pointing towards a page or a story. Let's see a demo on how we can pass the story and page local filters, the contextual filters, while setting the internal hyperlink. So in the design time, the users can set an hyperlink, and while setting an hyperlink, I have set here a link to a page. This specific page I have marked here, and I can select the filters that I want to pass for the visualization. So here I want to pass all the filters that affect a visualization. I can also choose which specific filters that I want to pass. So here I have only the local filters, so I can pass these local, select these one of these or combination of both to be passed. So let's see in demo what happens. So this is the visualization through which I want to pass the the hyperlink and point it to tooltip page. Please note here that it has already been filtered on time, and with department, we'll be passing it on to this page. So right click. So here you can see that my hyperlink has been set and the filter has been automatically set to show the revenue for department sales in for the year 2021. The next feature which we have released is the dynamic text will now support showing the filters which are set on the geo maps, the local filters which are set on the geo visualizations. So here I have a geo map which has a filter on time dimension and version dimension. As part of the header, as part of the text, I would like to add the time dimension information into my description. For that, I can add the dynamic text, and here I can choose the time dimension, and it will show me the time dimension. We now support semantic pattern for and color for the previous period, wherein you can set the color by accounts and pattern it by version. We now support for all charts except for waterfall chart, semantic pattern and color for previous period. So here for version and previous period. So here you can see that we have a capability to color by account. So we have selected the measure for which we want to set the color, and we can set a pattern for the versions that we are displaying. For area charts and stacked bar and column charts, we also support color and pattern assignment based on the version when a version is bounded to the color. In case of a stacked area or bar chart, we also have the capability to add pattern to the versions. We can choose color by account or set the color to individual accounts. This is also supported for the scenario where we show the charts by 100%. We have introduced a feature called Tooltip Scale Inheritance, which means that whenever there is a measure in Tooltip which has a different scale as compared to the measure used in the chart, we can inherit the scale for the tooltip measure so that the readability of the chart and the interpretability of the chart improves. With tooltip scale inheritance, by setting the tooltip account scale to inherit scale, we can see that whenever there is a change in the scale for the measure used in the chart, the scale of the tooltip measure also changes automatically. Let's see a demo for this. So here I have a measure which is in thousands and my tooltip is also in thousand. So let me change the scale to millions. So as I change the scale to millions, my tooltip scale has also changed to million. As part of the enhancements with the variance, we have introduced a support for waterfall chart while displaying variance. This is supported for a bar and column chart as well as for waterfall chart in horizontal orientation. Last but not the least, as part of a bar or a column chart and waterfall chart, we support displaying variance in the form of waterfall. We can also set the variance color in this. And please note that for waterfall, the difference is shown in number only. In case of a waterfall chart, the variance will be displayed only in horizontal orientation. As part of the optimized or unified story experience, we now support exporting to PowerPoint the Export to PowerPoint also supports the dynamic text as well for geo filters. Let's see it in a demo. So here I have a story. I can click on export. I can select PowerPoint, and I can also do a background export for the same.
With QRC1 2024, we will improve the variable support in SAP Analytics Cloud's optimized story experience. We will introduce a new option for story designers to save a story without the need to pre-select values for any variables. The setting can be found in the variable settings under the variable dialog dropdown in the toolbar and is called Clear Variables and New Server-Defined Values. By selecting this option, variables with default values will show their default. Variables without default values will be empty. Variables of type customer exits will be executed. The feature will only work for variables set on story level and excludes local variables set on any widgets. Existing and new stories still offer the default option for story designers to save a variable selection for a story.
Hello everyone, my name is Jaden. Here I would like to introduce the feature highlights for SAP Analytics Cloud delivered with the Q1 QRC release in the category of the story extensibility. The first new feature that we are delivering is a composite further enhancements. With the last release, we already delivered the first phase of the composite as a reusable building block. With this release, we have extended the composite definition with list box and custom widget. Means now you can leverage list box and custom widget for defining your composites. One example is that if you are defining this navigation menu, and now you will be able to use list box to defining this navigation menu. Or if you want to define some widget-based composites, and then you can also including custom widgets there. The next enhancement is that we provide the user option to configure the story toolbar for phone and tablet. So you will, in the view time settings in story design time, you will be able to see these two options, and then you can using the drag and drop capabilities to configure the toolbar for the phone and the tablet, for mobile app, and for the web browser. The next one is the bookmarking support for custom widget. And now the story designer working in the optimized story experience can save custom widgets in a bookmark, the same like a chart or table. The state of the custom widget, like a drill down, filter, sort, etc., now can be bookmarked. And the prerequisite is that a custom widget developer needs to set the property in the JSON file to support bookmark too. For all of these properties like color and opacity and so on, and you can set to the including bookmarks false. And we also supporting the script translation by using a text pool. So here we provide the ability for story viewer to view the texts that are dynamically set through script API in user's data access language. For example, the text widgets the texts are set through API, and or for the checkbox group and this kind of text, usually you are using the script API to set it, and these texts now can be translated in data access language. For example, if you have drop down, you have a checkbox group, and here you write the text is actually the original is in English, but you are using your actually script to add the text as the item and also add that write the text. So here we can translate into your target language. And also, last but not least, we are supporting unbooked members for input control script APIs. So now especially for planning scenarios, there are unbooked member scenarios like unbooked master data and so on. And for these unbooked members, we now have these two script APIs to get active select members with unbooked and set active select members with unbooked. The prerequisite is that input control is set to flat presentation, and you need to enable the option that show unbooked members in the input control, and the cascading effect on input control is turned off, and input control is the type of the dimension member or calculation input control. Now let's have a look into the demo. First, I would like to show you the composite enhancement. So we go to the first composite navigation menu, and if I navigate to the asset panel, so here in the composite design time, you will be able to see list boxes is listed as an asset, and the custom widget is also listed as an asset. So now you can drag and drop and also these widgets into building your composites. And like for this composites navigation menu, that we are leveraging the list box as a component inside the this composite. So how it looks like is actually in the runtime. So if we have a look into a story that leverage composite at the runtime, and this navigation menu is actually leveraged by built by the list box. Like we can have the overview, and then I can click on the details and also into the details page here, and then go to the overview menu again, navigate to the overview. And this one is actually a list box. So the next feature I would like to demonstrate is the mobile toolbar, the toolbar for the mobile devices for story. So first we have looked into this is actually the story what I have, and I also already have prepared a preview on the iPhone how it looks like. We see the toolbar here is that sales analysis and a story and the page title, and also with actually the bookmark and also with the filter. Now we can actually configure this part and for this phone as a devices. And I just need to go to design time, go to the view time settings, toolbar, and we see in the toolbar there is two tabs are extended in this release. One is phone and one is tablet. So let's configure the phone. For the phone in the mobile app, so we see currently shows the page title, story name, and also the bookmark icon and also the filter icon. Since actually I defined a header for this stories, so I don't need the page title, don't need the story name. So I click the apply, and also let's save the story. Then we can actually go to this mobile phone viewer, and let's refresh it to see how it now looks like on this toolbar. We can see that this the page title and the story title is disappear exactly like we have configured. And you may wondering why is actually here is a black theme, but in the design time we have seen before is a white theme, and that's because actually in the story I have defined in that way on the initialization event. I can say that on the desktop should be applied the light theme, and also in the mobile devices can apply it to the dark theme. So maybe I can just show you. That's basically this piece of coding. So that's why you may wondering why desktop is actually the light theme, and once it's go to the mobile devices, it's go to the black theme. Okay, now and I would like to show you another feature is bookmarking features for the custom widget. So for the bookmarking features, we can see, go to the bookmarks here, and then we can see here the bookmarks. So if you actually choose the option 1 and 2, and then bookmark are already and automatically included. And if you are actually go to the selected components here, and to say that I want to select the particular widgets, and then you can also see that this custom widget is also included in this list. And we can see this Zenki chart is basically custom widgets is included in that list, in the bookmarking components list. Okay, so we actually want to stay in the default state, basically is in that way. And then let's have a look into the view time. Let's go to the view time, and then we want to define a bookmark. And first, let's do some analysis. So let me enable a filter and go to here and go to dimension. I want to filter on location, filter by member. For the Nevada and origin, click on OK, then you see the data has been filtered. And the custom widget has been filtered as well, right? And now we can use also here the linked analysis to do the further interaction with the custom widgets. So let me click on that. I would like to filter on the carbonated drinks, and because I defined the linked analysis, so my custom widget also applies a filter carbonated drinks. And with that, I would like to save a bookmark. And then I just want to say bookmarks the current state, filter and origin. And then I would like to save as a private bookmark here. Click on the save. And we got information, bookmark is saved. Now let's go back to the original story first. So that's the original story, and they show you all the different locations. And now we can start our bookmark. Click on here and open the bookmark here again, and then we will see that exactly the analysis result applied for the story and the carbonated drinks, and also the filter is basically also filtered for the custom widget. So the custom widget is also now bookmarked. Now let's have a look into the demo of the translation for the texts that are set dynamically by the script API. So in my examples for the composite demo, I have here 3 texts. These 3 texts are basically set by script APIs. So what I would like to do is that I would like to, if I logged in with German, for example, this text will be automatically displayed in German. For that, we first need to go to the composite design, the story design time. And what we need to do is first go to the story details and make this story actually translation enabled. Click on that as a first step. The second step, we need to actually create a text pool in the scripting area. Within the text pool, we give the text that we would like to be translated. So here what I have added is basically the value 1, value 2, value 3. And the value 1 is the SAP Analytics Cloud overview and building innovations with unified story. And the dashboard covers the key features, composites, and the custom widgets. That created a text pool. Once that are done, and then we go to the translation in the SAC. So click on this button, we get into this translation. So once your story is enabled for the translation, and then your story name will appear here. So you click on that, go to the edit button, and then we see actually in the translation area, and these 3 basically text I have defined in the text pool are appearing here. So what I have already translated is these 3 texts in English I translated into the German, and then click on the save. So that's a task basically you need to do. Once that is done, and then we can go to the story runtime again here, and currently let's change the data access language, go to the profile settings, and we just change the data access language to German, and click on the save. Then we will be able to see that you see these 3 texts are appearing in German, and so that's the translation capabilities that now you will be able to translate the texts that are dynamically set by script API to translate it into the user's and data access language.
Hello everybody, my name is Bettina Denonville. I am Product Manager for Data Analyzer and I'll present you the new innovations as part of the QRC Q1 release. With the next update, a new formula editor with an improved user experience will be available and enables the user to create simple calculations. The scope of the first version is the support of calculated measures, usability improvements, the support of a small set of functions, the common operators and conditional operators. In a phased approach, functionality will be enhanced with a goal to finally provide one unified calculation editor across all artifacts in SAC, being used in Story, Data Analyzer and Modeling. Next, when you export your data to Excel, PDF or CSV, you'll find a new option in the dialog to print repetitive member names of a dimension. Next, if you are using a BW Live connection, the dimension groups defined in your BW backend are now supported in the Builder panel. A new button in the Builder panel allows the user to turn off the dimension groups and show the dimensions as flat list. Finally, the URL filter API is now supported as well for insights. This enables the story creator, for example, to build a custom linkage from a story to the data analyzer by defining a target insight with a predefined layout and at the same time pass some filter context from the story. Now I'm going to jump to the live demo. This is an example how the user scenario could look like using the URL filter API for insights. It's a high aggregated dashboard with a button here to enable the end user to open a data analyzer insight with the context of the chart. I edit the script and the onClick event contains the link to that insight parameterized with the filter information for product group. Now we are in the story at view time and the end user can jump to that insight. He sees the predefined table view with the filter on product group. From here, the user can immediately start his deep dive analysis. As a next topic, I want to show you how to create calculations in Data Analyzer. I open the Builder panel, and with that link, you can open the new calculation editor. The calculation editor can be moved and resized. On top, you find two input fields, description and ID. This gives you the option to create multiple measures with the same description. The side panel shows the list of available measures, the supported functions, and operators and conditional operators. By clicking through that list, you find in the Help section the explanation for each of them. So basically, by double-click, you can add all objects from the side panel to the formula editor. If you are not used to work with the side panel, you can just collapse it. With the Clear button, you clear always the whole formula. With the Control-C command, you see the available functions and the measures. Now let's start and create a simple calculation. I want to create a percentage share of a sales volume. I give it a name. And press OK. You see the measure is immediately added to the table. I just remove these two additional dimensions. Now I want to change the number format for that new measure. I want to see 0 decimal places. You can also create thresholds based on this new calculation. Let's say I want to see everything in green greater 20%. Now I want to show you the improvements we made in the area of the error handling. For that, I paste in a formula with errors. In that error section, you see 2 errors have been found. With the Format button, you can format your formula. This can be very helpful in case of nested calculations. Now I correct my formula. And now it's valid. And basically, you can edit and delete your formula from within the Builder panel. If you delete a calculation which has been used in a threshold, you get an information. And with the back button, you can bring it back. As the next topic, I want to show you the support of the dimension groups defined in the BW backend. For that, I open a different query. And here you see the dimension groups. And now I quickly jump to the HANA Studio. And here you see the groups defined on the data source level. Under the 3-dot menu, an end user can hide the groups and see the dimensions as flat list. Finally, I show you the new setting in the export dialog. Here you see that you can enable show repetitive member names when you export your data, and you see that this setting is now independent of the current table state. And the flag is available for CSV and PDF as well. That's from my side for today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hi, my name is Arno Klein and I'm a product manager within SAP. With QRC 1 2024, SAP Analytics Cloud will get an updated hierarchy dialog to support version and time-dependent hierarchies better. The new dialog offers an additional option to set a due date or to choose the version of a hierarchy. In the first phase, we will support table and chart widgets in the optimized story experience. Let's jump over. To open the dialog, just select the dimension in the table or charts builder panel and click on a hierarchy. The dialog shows a default checkbox to get to the hierarchy due date. The default gets prioritized in the following order. First, from the variable, if one exists, then the due date of the hierarchy, and last, the query key date. If I deselect the default, I can also choose another date. If a new date gets selected, the list of available hierarchies will be updated. That means that the list shows only valid hierarchies related to the date set. Within the hierarchy dropdown, hierarchies will be represented by its description, followed by the version in brackets. The dialog options can vary based on the capabilities of your hierarchies in place.
One of the major features of the new 2024 QRC1 release is the ability to create new models directly from data, as you could previously only with the account model or the data set. Incidentally, as you can see here from the video, we no longer call it new model. We actually refer to it as simply as model. When the data is finished loading here, you will see that I land directly in the modeler. And we are landing in a list view, and down below we can see a data foundation that's already full because we are pulling data in from a data source. A couple of interesting features to point out here is that, firstly, if you look down below in the dimensions space, all dimensions are what are known as single column dimensions, just like in the data set. They do not yet have a dimension table assigned to them. You can turn them into proper managed dimensions with proper managed master data, or you could leave them as data set style single column dimensions. One of the major new features with this is also the ability to go back and edit the wrangling along with the modeling. So previously in the classic account model, you could edit the wrangling one time and then you could edit modeling after that, but you could never touch the wrangling again. Here, I can toggle into transform data and I can go into the wrangler. This is very similar to the embedded data set workflow from the story, where I'm in the story and I create the new data set, and I can always toggle back between the story and the data set. It's exactly the same sort of UX pattern here. I can work on my semantic model, but if I don't like something in my data wrangling, I can always toggle in and edit my data transforms and then go back to modeling. And I can do this back and forth for as long as I need it. And so these are the three main new features that came with the update to the model: the ability to create a model directly from data, the ability to work with single column dimensions, so you don't need to create a full-fledged dimension table for every single dimension. You can just leave them as unmanaged columns, and the ability to work intermittently. You could work back and forth, toggle back and forth between the wrangler and the modeler.
Hello everyone, my name is Scott Godfrey and I'm one of the product managers with SAP Analytics Cloud, and I want to spend the next few moments talking to you about some of the new planning features we have coming as part of our Q1 2024 QRC release. And we're going to start with a very important enhancement to advanced formulas, and that is the ability to source data from calculated members using link functions or result lookup functions. Now, this will require that you enable a given toggle to read these calculated members per step or per script. And when you enable this toggle, you'll be able to read either calculated accounts or measures and or node values in any dimension. Now, it's important to note that not all customers will have this available initially, as this feature does require customer tenants to be on SAP HANA Cloud. Right. This should occur for most of our customers later in 2024. So with that, let's jump over and see this in action. So I've navigated over to my story. We'll start in the story first. And what I'm going to do is copy from the total product, the sales and quantity, and the average price calculation, and I'm going to persist the result in the unassigned member. Okay. Now, the average price is a calculated member, so I'm going to persist and store its results in the average price stored measure. So I go ahead and run my data action. What I will see is the 14,038,000 and the 368 average price are persisted in the unassigned member. So let's navigate over and just see this in the script syntax itself. You'll see that I'm in the visual editor, that I have now this read calculated members on. Right? If I were to disable this toggle, then what will happen is that I'm going to get an error suggesting that my source values, specifically my product, needs to be a leaf member. Right? So it's only reading that total because that toggle is enabled. There is a slight performance hit for that. So you shouldn't enable that toggle unless you really are reading from a parent or a calculated member. But of course, this is now going to allow you to do that. And so again, this is the ability to read calculated members in advanced formulas as part of our Q1 2024 QRC release. Next thing I want to cover is the introduction of the variable member support for the version dimension. So variable member, of course, is a temporary container that allows you to aggregate other elements across that given dimension. And up until this point, the version dimension was not supported. With the Q1 2024 QRC release, we are going to support variable member on version. And this will allow you to aggregate then on the version dimension and simplifies aggregation of essentially all data across the version. So this includes the ability to aggregate across multiple measures. So let's jump over and see a scenario of this in action. So we're in our script, and you'll notice we have a couple of lines that reflect our variable member on the version dimension, one for year-to-date actuals and another for year-to-date plan. And we're going to use these to aggregate within the version dimension itself. So we're going to calculate year-to-date actuals, and we're going to calculate year-to-date plan. And then we're going to take the differential between the year-to-date plan and year-to-date actuals and squeeze that into the next forecast period. And so the current period forecast will be a combination of year-to-date actuals, the differential between plan and actuals, and the rest of the year plan. So I'm in the story, and what I'm going to calculate first is my March forecast. And as I just mentioned, that was going to be a calculation of year-to-date plan minus my year-to-date actuals, and then I squeeze the differential into the next forecast period. So let's go ahead and run this. We'll pick our March forecast, and what I'm expecting to see in March is $1,100, which is going to be the $1,900 actuals subtracted from the $2,000 year-to-date plan, added to the original plan for March, which was $1,000. And yes, in March I have 1,100. So let's run this again for April, right? And we'll see the same effect. We'll get the year-to-date values. So we should see 800, 1,100, 925. So that's 2825 subtracted from 3,000, added to the original plan value of 1,000, which is 1,175. Which then gets booked in April. So again, this is the variable member for version as part of our Q1 2024 QRC release.
This is Derek from SAP Product Management. In this enhancement, we're going to be talking to a usability feature we've added to our data actions to allow you to see the ID or description within the data action component. So let's take a look. So we're just going to toggle between our display ID and description so you can see the new menu item here. That's added to toggle between these. So here we're showing the ID, in this case for a product group of unassigned. We can change that to the description as well. So it just allows you to easily change what is displayed in the data action step to show either the ID or the description. And sometimes looking at the description can provide you, the planner with a more intuitive feel for what the data action is without having to know the specific ID that are tied to the specific data action step. We can see this with the marketing allocation as well, as we can change between the ID and description. So you can see the ID for a product group, in this case is the unassigned, and we change it to description, it would be given a textual description. For the most part, our members for this model, the ID and the descriptions are the same, but in many of your models that is not likely to be the case. And as you toggle between the display for the ID and description, you'd see your data action steps change accordingly. So hopefully this makes it easier to kind of look at your data action steps without a lot of review and be able to kind of track the flow based on just looking at the descriptions of the members versus the technical ID. Well, it's Derek from SAP Product Management. In this enhancement, we're going to be talking about data actions. And one of the things that we've now allowing is to do a cross-model copy with analytical models as the source. So this is going to allow you greater flexibility to architect your data within your SAP Analytics Cloud system. So let's take a look. So now we're in system looking at a data action where we're going to copy from an analytical model to a planning model. We're just going to take a look at the definition. So essentially I've copied our planning model and then made it into an analytical model. And you can see that right up here where we've defined this as our analytical model. And you'll see that when we go back to our data action that our marketing spend matches that exactly as well. So you can see we're copying from an analytical model into our planning model. So I'm not going to execute the data action as it's pretty straightforward. It's going from one system to another, but just want to show you that you can now use analytical models as a source for your planning models in these cross-model copies. Thank you. Well, my name is Derek Johnson. I'm a product manager for SAP Analytics Cloud. In this step, we're going to be looking at some of the enhancements we've done to help our customers migrate from the legacy allocation process into the new process that we've recently introduced that are embedded within the data action framework. So we provide some tools to manually migrate these legacy allocation processes and steps to move into this new framework. So let's take a look. So here we're going to take a look at a scenario to illustrate some of the migration concepts. So we're looking here as under the main menu. This is where our legacy allocations were kept. And I'm just going to open up an allocation. So here you can see that we have our data copy step that we've had. One of the things that we're going to do here is we're going to migrate the data action. So this is not going to get rid of your existing legacy allocation, but it's simply going to allow you to convert it to the new format. So it's going to create a data action with an allocation step that we can save in a folder structure. Now we've saved our allocation, and if we want to review the definition, we can see it here. So we can see the copy data step, and then we can see our allocation rule. So we're going to take a look at another scenario here as well, where we're going to call up a data action that has a legacy allocation rule assigned to it. So here you can see we have our allocating marketing expenses, and we've attached our allocation step. If we'd like to, we can migrate this allocation step directly within our data action. And here you can see that we've now converted our legacy allocation step into the new allocation step residing within the data action directly. So we could save this as well. Note that if you have an allocation step that consists of multiple steps, that will be saved in a data action with multiple allocations assigned to it. And if you want to convert individual steps as well, you could do that here as well, simply by selecting our legacy step, and then we do our migrate to data action. As such. So here you can see that we would be creating our data action. We can save that to a folder. So this is really the first step in really converting our legacy allocations into the new format. And we've provided some tools to make this an easy task.
The next thing I want to cover is the introduction of a new disaggregation setting on the measure dimension. So now, in addition to the standard disaggregation, you can alternatively configure a measure to disaggregate based on the weightings of another measure. Now, the key is that that other measure will have to have booked values, so it cannot be a calculated measure. And you can configure the disaggregation to either disaggregate the full amount or disaggregate only the delta. So this can simplify scenarios where perhaps I want to disaggregate costs or sales based on a quantity measure, and then ensure that disaggregation logic and the relationship is enforced across the solution. So with that, let's jump over and see this in action. So here I am in my modeler now, and if I look at a given measure, you'll see that I have this ability to change the disaggregation type property to reference another measure. In my case, I'm looking at the sales target measure. I've changed the reference measure to be quantity, and the disaggregation mode to be total disaggregation rather than delta. We'll look at the delta a little bit later. If I jump over to my story now, I'll go ahead and enter a target for January. We'll assume 40K for simplicity. And then because I have total disaggregation set, you'll see that I have an equivalent number of sales to the quantity. Next, we'll key in some targets for February. We'll assume 100K for each category of bikes. And then we'll change the total to 600K. And I'll see that my original entry will get wiped away and it will be disaggregated based on the weightings of the quantity. Right? So this is what total disaggregation does. Right? It will eliminate whatever exists there previously. And of course, this disaggregation method will apply regardless of where I enter the data. So if I wanted to enter full quarter, I could do that as well. And in this case, it will actually spread as well to March because I have quantities in March. So I'm just going to revert a couple of these last changes. And then we'll jump over to the modeler. And we'll change the setting to the delta disaggregation. So in the modeler, let's change the disaggregation mode from total distribution to delta distribution. And I'll go ahead and make a save to the model. I'll jump back over to my story. And we're back to the scenario where I have 100K per bike. Now, if I change the total in this case to 500K, what ends up happening is the 100K, the differential, is then spread to the individual bikes based on the weighting of the quantity. So this is how the delta distribution is handled. So again, this is the ability to set a default disaggregation based on the weightings of another measure as part of our Q1 2024 QRC release.
Hello, my name is Gert Schöffel. I'm a product expert in SAP Analytics Cloud Planning. Today, I want to tell you about the new use of the fluid data entry support in BPC Live Connections in QRC 1 2024. The fluid data entry mode has been available with acquired models already since quite a while. Now with QRC 1, we also enable this fluid data entry mode in BPC Live Connections. And we also make it the default data entry behavior in any newly created table. Let's directly have a look at the system. So first of all, let's have a look at how the data entry mode used to be. So this is the normal data entry mode. So you enter data into a table with a BPC Live connection. And as soon as you enter data and press return, the data gets sent to the BPC system, gets recalculated, and the screen gets updated. You can see that the screen is updated by the yellow colors of the changed rows. And as we're using here some calculated measures and also here an cell chart of this calculated measure, you can see that the chart is updated as well as the calculation. Let's do it again. So if you enter data and press return, the data gets calculated. Now let's have a look at the new fluid data entry mode. So here we have a setting, and let's switch it over to the fluid data entry mode. Now, when you enter data and press return, you can keep entering data, and the system does the refresh in the background. So as you can see here, I can keep entering data, and the system, after a certain data entries, does an automatic refresh. I still can keep working during the refresh, and the system automatically updates the calculated measures as well as the in-cell charts. This is what I wanted to show you. Thank you very much.
Next thing I want to talk about is some changes we have to the calendar, and that's the introduction of explicit REST APIs that can be called from either external third-party tools or from other components within the business technology platform, including SAP Business Process Automation. And so, of course, this improves end-to-end planning workflows that involve multiple applications. In particular, we've introduced APIs to change the status of a current calendar event, to fetch the information about a specific calendar event, or to copy a current calendar event. So with that, let's jump over and see this in action. So in this case, we'll see a short end-to-end scenario where we instantiate planning processes in SAP Analytics Cloud from SAP BPA and then round trip that through S/4HANA and back to SAP Analytics Cloud.
In this video, we showcase a planning process spanning over SAP Analytics Cloud and S/4HANA along a cost center expense planning use case. We'll use BTP Build Process Automation to manage the entire process end-to-end. To start the process, we submit a form, and in this form, we briefly explain the use case steps. And submitting the form here initiates a planning period and a planning process in SAP Analytics Cloud. One cost center did not submit planned expenses yet. That's why we impersonate now the role of a planner for cost center building and maintenance. We'll navigate through the business content available and plan an expense of 360,000 euro for cost center build and maintenance. We plan that number for the year 2024, publish our changes to finalize the plan, and submit the calendar task to finalize the planning process on SAC side. After we have finalized the plan, we need to export planned expenses into S4 to make it available there. Next step requires to run a universal allocation to reallocate planned expenses of that cost center. We finalize that by submitting the form. We can now go back into the business content of SAC and see 360,000 planned expenses here has been reallocated to 180,000 to the cost centers manufacturing 1 US and manufacturing 2 US. The entire process has been organized and managed by BTP Build Process Automation. You can see here the event log managing that process and also some technical context for further details.
As part of our Q1 2024 QRC release, we've introduced the ability to integrate calendar tasks with the Microsoft Office and Teams calendars. So now an event owner can enable this integration, and then any change that they make to the task will be reflected in the local calendars of the event participants, whether you're an assignee or a reviewer. Now, it's important to note that this replication is only one way. So anytime the event owner, if the synchronization is enabled, makes a change to the calendar event or calendar task, whether that's manually or by a bulk edit, the updates will be reflected in the local Outlook or Teams calendars. But any changes that are made by the end users in their own Outlook or Teams calendars, these will not be reflected in SAP Analytics Cloud. So with that, let's jump over and see a scenario of this in action.
Let's jointly experience the integration between SAC's calendar and Microsoft Office 365. You can open the event settings and enable the integration here. This will lead to a pop-up page where we have to log into our Microsoft Office 365 account. This leads to mirroring, synchronizing all events of the calendar in SACs into the calendar of Microsoft Office. Now, let's impersonate the planner, Janice Price, who's responsible for the sales target of a particular product. In her calendar, we can open the event. We can see here the notification of SAC, and we can also directly navigate into the planning dashboard to maintain the sales target for the upcoming period. By adding plus 7 million to the overall budget, we can then submit our new plan as usual, and the planning process can continue.
Hello, this is Gregory. Table sorting of the version dimension. This is a long-awaited feature that is now available for SAP Analytics Cloud in the QRC1 2024 release. This functionality provides a new menu entry at design time that will allow you to sort the version dimension as desired. We do A to Z and Z to A sorting, as well as custom sorting. and the latter can be reused at view time. Important note to know, this is limited to the optimized story experience. Let's see what it looks like with a short demo. This is a table in SAP Analytics Cloud with the version dimension here. Let's do a right click on it in order to expand the sort option menu. I can do a Z to A sorting. Once applied, an information is added into the table subtitle to inform me, but also to allow me to remove it. If I want to do a custom sort, I have to select Add Custom Order. I can define my custom sort on the visible element or on all the elements. Let's choose the visible one and let's change the order. I can rename the custom order and validate. The custom order is applied. Let's save and let's go into the view time. In the view time, the options remain available. I can change from the custom order to A to Z, for instance, or I can choose the default order. If I apply any of the three options, I can still remove it.
The next topic I want to cover is some enhancements to the modeler or model calculations. And this is the introduction of dedicated shortcut functions to handle to-date formulas. So for example, year-to-date, quarter-to-date, month-to-date. So we now have a shortcut formula. That formula will actually utilize the underlying two periods capability that we introduced last year. But this makes it much quicker and easier to write these types of formulas. So with that, let's jump over and see a couple of examples of this in action. So in the modeler, I have a quantity measure, base measure, and I've gone ahead and created a couple of calculated measures that utilize our new formulas, this year-to-date quantity measure and our QTD quantity measure, quarter-to-date. And I get value help if I was to, for example, try to write this formula. It asks me for the base measure that I want. And then the second parameter is the date. If I had multiple date dimensions, I would have to choose which one. Similar for QTD. So we'll just save our model because I did make some changes to the original YTD quantity formula. And then we'll jump over to our story. So now we're in our story, and I'll go ahead and enter some values for Q1 in our R100 bike. And then we'll see that our year-to-date and quarter-to-date measures do recalculate. Of course, they are the same value here because we're only looking at a single quarter, Q1. But they are performing the running total. Now, if I were to then go ahead, let's say, and enter data on a different member, let's say the R200, and I continue that through into Q2, we'll then see that the quarter-to-date and the year-to-date values will differ in Q2 because I've started a new quarter. So this is the to-date functions available with our Q1 2024 QRC release.
Hello, I'm Derek Johnson. I'm Product Manager for SAP Analytics Cloud, and I'm here to discuss enhancements we've done to our version management system to provide more transparency when there's issues that are encountered for publishing the data. And some of these issues may be around data access control, validation rules, data locking, planning area violations, and unknown master data. So what will happen is as we go through the publishing process, we'll get a warning that there's issues that were encountered, and then we can look at these records in a little bit more detailed along with the reason, and we can get better insights as to why certain records were not published. So let's go take a look. Now we're going to take a look at a simple example. So we're looking at a report for marketing spend. You can see that we have our count is marketing. We have a certain product line here for accessories. This is for our golf company. And in this case, we're going to be adjusting some of the spend, but you can see that data locks have been applied via the model. And so you see this locked. So what we're going to do is use this to generate some of the errors as it relates to data locking. So to do that, we're going to set the start edit mode to all data in the version. And then we're going to make some adjustments to our bags product line. So we've increased our spend for our bags. And what we're expecting when we go to publish this is that since this region is locked, we should expect to see an error. And then we should be able to go into the details and see this specific error message and the related details of what it was trying to save. So here we received the warning that not all the data could be published, and now we can go into look at the data in a little bit more details. And here you can see the reason. It's based on existing data locks, but it also gives you some of the information as well of the row that it was trying to save in this case. So if we wanted to, we could download these records if there was certainly a lot of different records that were failed to be published for any particular reason or various reasons. We could download those for further analysis here as well. Since it's just one record, we're not going to necessarily bother with that. Some other reasons why data may not be published, just to give additional information, it could be related to data access control, validation rules, of course, data locking that we're seeing here. It could be planning area violations or unknown master data.
I'm Jeanne Bigonnet. I'm one of the product managers with SAP Analytics Cloud. I present you the new feature we have coming in Office Excel integration as part of our Q1 2024 release. First, we will introduce a new improvement in the member selector named range. So it will be possible only for members in flat presentation mode to be selected using this range selection. So you define first the operator, and then the first member you want to retrieve to the last one you want to select in your dimension. Next, it's a new option that we will introduce, as you can see on the screen, below some 3 dots beside the name of the model here, which is apply default format. So when you uncheck this option, then this means you will apply the format from Excel, and this will then allow you to create reports using the standard Excel format and benefiting from any capabilities from it. Of course, this will be kept after refresh. The important things I need to mention here is this format is mainly used for what we name static scenarios, which means if you drill, if you expand, collapse, the format that you have created will be lost. And then the add-in format, the standard add-in format, will be applied. Next improvement, it's still about the same area. So below the name of the model or the data source, you now retrieve information about which table you are working with, or which data source you are working with, or which data action as well you are working with. And from here, you can then navigate from one table to the other one and change the builder pane below accordingly. Next, it's a new feature, or I would say more a new custom function that we are introducing in the list of SAP custom function named SAP member property. So with that new function, you can retrieve for a specific member of a dimension and a specific property, the value of this property. But let's see a demo of that. Let's see an example of the usage of the new SAP property formula that is introduced with this QRC. So as remember, if I search for the list of formula, we have this list of formula that we name custom function, which are specific to the add-in and which are similar to the native Excel, I would say, on top of our add-in. So here we have this new formula, SAP member property. And now, just to show you an example, if we go on the designer panel to the sales organization dimension, just to check which properties are attached to this dimension. So you see that there are different type of properties attached to this dimension. So let's explore with the formula how to retrieve this property. So here, the first example, I have now created the formula and I need to precise in the formula first the data source attached that I want to retrieve, the properties, the dimension here, and also the information about the property, of course. So here I'm searching in the list of dimension, which I have retrieved also using a formula, SAP dimension, based on my table, which is the table that I am now displaying here. So here I have the list of dimensions and properties from this table, and then I can directly point to this list to retrieve and define for which dimension I want to retrieve the property currency. So in that case, it's the property currency that I want to display. So this is what is listed here. And of course, I can also directly type in the property that I want to retrieve. So in this example, I want to display the property, which is the description of the members from the sales organization. So here it's what you retrieve here. Thanks for watching.
My name is Pranav and I am a product manager of SAP Analytics Cloud. I want to give you a brief detail about a feature recently delivered in SAP Analytics Cloud, and this is support for a data point comment when dimension property are used in table and comment widget. We know in a model for a given dimension we can have one or more dimension properties, and in the table this property can be used in the filter or table access or both. Similarly, in the comment widget can be used as a filter. User will be able to add data point comment in the table and comment widget when dimension property are being used. Let's go through a demo. For an example, I have created these three tables in my SAP Analytics Cloud story. The first table has dimension member and the dimension properties is being used in the filter. So this filter will only affect this table. The second table, I have dimension properties in the table. There is no dimension member. And the third table, what I have it is dimension properties and member in the table over here. So now you can see I can go ahead and filter it out for a brown. So this table is filtered and I can go ahead and add a comment. Yeah, so now you can see I'm able to add a comment. Now if I go ahead and filter it out on golden, I can still go ahead and add a comment. And similarly, if you see over here, when I have another table, the comment that I have made over here, so it reads as a gross margin for all the drink, which is of color golden. So it is over here 9.37. This is also represented in a different table over here, and I can see the comment that I have made over here also reflects over here. So since it is a data point, it represents the same data, so the comment would appear over here. And similarly, the comment that I had made it for a brown over here, you can see the comment is also available over here. So when I see over here the gross margin for all the drink which is of color brown is 53 million USD. So here is again representing the same data in a different way, and the same comment is appearing over here. In case if you wish to add something over here in this table where dimension properties is being used in the table, so I should be able to use it. And if I add a comment over here, you can see, okay, the comment is added and it is reflected over here. If I go ahead and filter it for orange, so I'll be seeing same data as over here, and the comment would appear over here as well. So this is about a demo for commenting when a dimension properties is being used in the table and comment widget. Now, if I had a comment widget where a dimension property was used, you should be able to add comment over there as well. Thank you for watching. My name is Pranav and I'm a product manager for SAP Analytics Cloud. I wanted to give you a brief detail about a feature recently delivered in SAP Analytics Cloud, and this is commenting in a model with role-based data security applied. We can apply data authorization on a model and other is via a role. For simple role-based security, commenting was supported. However, for complex role-based security, commenting were not supported earlier. Starting QRC 1 2024, we will support commenting on model with complex role-based security applied. At the same time, if it involves lot of dimension in the role-based security, there will be some exceptions. Let's go through our demo video. This is a model that I have it, and here model data privacy is enabled. Now let's go through that roles. So if I go to a role, I have created one role called model privacy. If I get inside this role, you will see I have applied data privacy for this model. And here what I have selected right now over here is location is equal to SF. So I have created two read privileges. One is location is equal to SF and product is equal to Coca-Cola. Similarly, there is second read privilege what I have it. Here location is equal to San Diego and product is equal to dark beer. So this is what I have created a model privacy, and this role has been assigned to a user named Gary. Let's go and see a report. Okay, so this is the story that I have it in SAP Analytics Cloud, and these tables are based on the model on which data privacy is enabled. Now for this demo, I have two users. One is Pranav, who is the admin, has the full access to all the members for product and location, and there is another one we had seen, Gary, who has been assigned the role what I have created, and in that role I have created something like that. Location is equal to San Francisco and product is equal to Coca-Cola, or location is equal to San Diego and product is equal to dark beer. So this is what Gary has an access to it. So right now I have logged in via user Pranav and you can see I have a full access. I can go ahead and add comment anywhere I wish. Now let's log in via Gary and see that. I have logged in via Gary now. And let me open the story, same story. So now you can see over here in this table, you can see Gary has access to only San Francisco and San Diego. And in the product table, he has an access to dark beer and Coca-Cola. Over here, it's both location and product, and it is available over here. Now, with these kind of a complex model privacy applied, the commenting were not supported. Now you can see I have added a comment and it is available over here. In case if I wish to add a new comment over here, I can go ahead and add a comment. So now this has been added by Gary. Thank you. My name is Pranav and I'm a product manager for SAP Analytics Cloud. I will give you a detail of a feature delivered in SAP Analytics Cloud in QRC1 2024. Basically, to optimize the usage of scheduling feature, we have removed the option no end date under end recurrence by. Fundamentally, we had three options under end recurrence by. no end date, end by a date, and number of occurrences. We know that there are limited slots for publication in each tenant, and that is based on a number of licenses that they have it. And if a scheduler schedule it with no end date, which was the default option, then schedule would continue to run even when it was not required. So what we have done is we have removed no end date option under end recurrence by, and this will let user to explicitly select a end date or the number of occurrences. If the scheduler wishes to run it for a very long period of time, they can still do it by selecting a longer end date, for example 10 years from the start date. Or in case if they want to select it by occurrence, they can select a larger number of occurrences, say 1000. So this means you can still run for a longer period of time without using no end date. So this is a feature which I wanted to talk about. Thank you for watching. My name is Pranav and I'm a product manager for SAP Analytics Cloud. I will give you a detail of a feature delivered in SAP Analytics Cloud in QRC1 2024. And this is email notification to a scheduler when the schedule fails or partially delivered. As a schedule owner, you will now be notified via email whenever the status of a schedule publication is partially successful, failed, or cancelled. You can view the detailed status by clicking on the Open Task button on the notification email. This will basically enable scheduler to take proactive action in case if there are schedules which has failed due to certain reason. Let's look into an email template when a publication fails. This is how I receive a mail when a schedule fails. So I have a schedule with the name schedule with no end date, which is of type broadcast. Owner for that is Pranav, and that schedule has failed. So you can see it says it has failed. I can go ahead and click this open task to get into a more detail why it has failed. So let me click over here. You can see over here it has opened the task, and this task or the schedule has failed. In case if we want to know more detail, we can go to the view section, detail section, and here you can see there is something with certain reason the schedule has failed.
Thanks for watching. Hopefully our demos have helped you leverage the latest features in SAP Analytics Cloud in your organization. Remember to leave a like on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with everything Analytics Cloud. We are excited to see what's to come in 2024, so stay tuned and we'll see you next time.